So we're live. Uh, what does create a dashboard? No. Studio X. Hey there. Nicht Producer. Live. Create postcard. What's new in SwiftMCP? Technology. X is streaming, actually. Streaming source. Chat. Everyone. Start immediately. Post. So, hello everybody. It's been a very busy week. Many late nights I was working on Swift MCP, and uh, I have a couple of really awesome news. So the last time we chatted about Swift MCP was just getting started, and we had standard I/O support. And what's the big advancement now is that we have uh, full implementation of HTTP SSE and a few other things that I'll get to later. So generally, MCP works such that uh, it receives JSON RPC messages and sends them back. And if you do that in standard I/O, then it's all standard in. You get a line with the message, and standard out, you get a line back. And how it generally works is that any tool that uses such local MCP servers creates an instance of it so that it then can talk over standard I/O with it. The big difference with HTTP SSE is that this is a server that's somewhere separate. It can be on the same computer or over HTTP SSE already also somewhere else on the internet even. And this is what I implemented. And I've had very good experiences when I implemented Swift Mail. I was using Swift Neo, and so Swift Neo is also the basis for the HTTP serving I'm doing with the HTTP SSE transport. And there it works such that essentially the client makes a connection to endpoint URL slash SSE, and from there it gets, so it makes a get on this SSE, and this connection stays open. And subsequently, when a command is sent from the client to the server, it is posted to slash messages, and the answer is sent back via the stream that's still open slash SSE. And what this allows is, because you could just have like HTTP post and I get an answer, but what this allows is essentially a decoupling of request and response. So if something takes a while, it could be going on, and then after 5 minutes comes the message, "I'm not done." So that's the one advantage. The other advantage is, and you could theoretically even be disconnected. Could you? No, couldn't get disconnected. But the other thing you can, if you implement notifications, which we haven't yet, then theoretically you could also send something to the client, even though the client didn't send. Because normal communication with an LLM is always, I send something, I get something back. But this kind of protocol allows for the server to send notifications to the client as well. Yeah. So let's get right to it. Yeah, I want to show off. Let's get right to it. I want to show off. Let's get right to it. That I also worked on is show off. There's now a package index on Swift MCP. It now says that we have documentation, and what this essentially means that this gets auto-generated from the documentation comments. And when I was doing that, very nicely, I found also that it can create cool things like tutorials. So here you have a tutorial building MCP servers. I haven't gotten any images yet, but just to see how this works. So you're building an MCP server. It says, okay, start with a basic calculator that has documentation for the class as well as the functions you want to expose. And then you add the MCP server macro, give it a version number, and you add the MCP tool macro to any function you want to expose. And what this does is essentially the macro expands before the code is compiled and adds additional code. And what it does is it has access to the whole syntax, or the whole, it's called AST, abstract syntax tree, essentially your source code, and the description in front of the function is called the leading trivia. And so I have a function where I can pass this and take out the description and the names and description of all the parameters, and also description of the return value. And all this information I use to expose this to MCP. Yeah, you'll see that in a second. So the next thing then is you can also add a, if that's too long here, you can add a shorter override description for the MCP tool. Yeah, and all these comments are necessary and useful for MCP. Yeah, and the other thing that's also new is we now support asynchronous and throwing functions. Yeah, so if you have, say, a custom error like this, yeah, greeting error, you can add that as a validation to your function. In this case, if the person name is too short, yeah, then I'm throwing this error. You see, this is the only error handling I need to do. behind the scenes, this gets automatically packaged by the server for you. So let's see that in action. So if you run the SwiftMCP demo, then we'll see in a second. I'm running this. Actually, let me check with what parameters. HTTP SSE, Open API, port 1890, and a secret, and also enable debug output. Yeah. So here we have it. Here's the HTTP SSE transport on Mac Studio Local 1890/SSE. And earlier I started the MCP inspector. Here I have the authentication. So I can put here my secret bearer token and connect. And yeah, so this lists the tools, and all of these descriptions are coming from this meta information. Yeah, here we have the custom description, the input schema of the parameters, the arguments, as well as if there's a performs addition. Do we have somewhere? No, we don't have. In MCP, you don't have a description of the return value, but in OpenAPI you do. And so, for example, we looked earlier at the greet. Yeah, if I call, if I run this tool, yeah, I can show you actually here on the console. It's a post to messages with my client ID. Tools call for function greet with arguments Oliver, and run it again. And so HTTP just says, so this is the one on messages, it just says accepted. And then on the SSE stream, it returns this, yeah, a text, type text, hello Oliver, with is error is false, yeah. And so it says tool success, hello Oliver, success. Now, if we were to send a too short name, yeah, we get tool error, result name O is too short, names must be listed too long, because here is error is true. Yeah, so you see that that works really nicely. And this is essentially the big news. So we support any kind of reference type. Well, there are just two kinds of reference types. One is class, and the other is actor. In order to support actor, we needed to have async, because actors make everything async. But once we had this, we could also allow it for actors. And what I'm doing essentially, if you try to make your MCP server a struct, yeah, you get a calculus must be a reference type class or actor, and even a fixit. Yeah, it suggests to change it to a class. But in the demo, I have it as an actor to show that that also works. And so you can have functions that return numbers. You can have functions that return strings. You can have default values. Also, those are supported. So let's say, for example, divide. Yeah, divide. It has a denominator of 1. So numerator, if I call this, it still works, because it doesn't need that, as there is a default value. And this is an example of an asynchronous function that might take a while. For example, you do some network request, and then when you're done, you send the answer. And throws means the error that you throw, as long as it has it's a localized error, so it needs to have an error description, and then this error description is what gets put into the answer. Yeah, to see these two kinds of transport working, I've changed the demo to be a async parsable command that has two subcommands. So the one subcommand is with stdio, which is also the default if you don't pass any parameters on the command line. And HTTP SSE is the HTTP server with server-side events. And those are the subcommands where this is how you start the standard IO server. Yeah, you always give as a server parameter your server, and then you call run. And HTTP SSE is the same thing, just a few more parameters. So you need to give it also a port under which it should serve. And here I have in the HTTP SSE, I have an authorization handler, so you can implement the bearer token. The bearer token is what gets sent to your server, and you can inspect it. Yeah, and if it's the wrong token, you say, "Oh, it's not authorized. I'm not going to talk to you." And that's the thing I've been alluding to. Yeah, that's the other. Since we already have this met information for all these functions, we might as well support the other part of the world, which doesn't speak MCP. Yeah, I'm looking at you, ChatGPT, because with this, it is you are actually able to do the following. Yeah, bear with me. So I have this server now running on my local computer. Yeah, and I want to access it from ChatGPT. So how do I do that? Number one, I somehow need to have a public server address, yeah, for this. And the way how you can achieve that is there's a tool called ngrok where you can it basically does a VPN from your computer to the public internet, exposes an address there. With the free account, you get one address for free. And then I can make connections there, even over HTTPS, and that is then forwarded to my local host port 8090. Yeah? Let me quickly show this off. In ngrok, you have one domain. Yeah, if you pay for it, you can even have other ones. This is an automatically generated one. Then here's the command to start the tunnel. It's just ngrok HTTP, the URL, and then the port at the end. And the port in my case is 8090. Yeah. So with this, yeah, if I now go to the browser, and we have turned on Open API serving. Yeah. So you see here's the schema for Open API. And funny enough that we have these slashes here. I wonder why that is. If that is not a problem, or I think somehow JSON. Well, this is all created by Codable, so JSON probably knows what it needs to do. And you have here things like here, for example, is the greet. Yeah, you have the description, you have an operation ID, which is just the name of the function, request body with the description of the parameters, a type that is required, and the responses. There is a response 200 with a greeting message, the string that's returned, or if we throw an error, then that gets sent with status code 200. Again, it's a string, and it's an object that has error equals and the message. Yeah, and summary greet. Yeah, and so if I now go say to ChatGPT, yeah, and I've got here a test GPT, can edit that. Let's say I haven't done anything of this. Yeah, I have an API key enabled. Yeah, and now I can import from this Open API JSON. Et voila, we have our schema here. And also at the bottom here, these are the functions that we're exposing. And the name comes from the name of the server, which you can override by giving it a different name. So let's for example, test grid, yeah, ChatGPT, why would that not work? Doesn't for effect. Sometimes I have to restart my server or restart. It didn't even connect to Grok. Let's see. Greet Oliver. Error talking to the connector. Start Grok from scratch. Try again. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working. I don't even get a connection. Edit GPT. Maybe the API key is wrong. Could be. Ping. Yeah, now it works. Apparently, I didn't have the API key in there. So greet again. We try to greet. Yeah, and that's the thing. ChatGPT always wants to confirm the individual commands. I can confirm it. Yeah, confirm, and the response is hello test user because it called it with name test user. Now can I say greet A? Yeah. Again, it wants to confirm, and here's a bug. Yeah, in Safari. Yeah, you have to write something so that you can see the answer. Then it says name A is too short. Names must be at least 2 characters long. This is not actually the response it got. Actually, this response was this. Yeah, but ChatGPT is smart enough to know something went wrong, and then it gives you your own thing. And if you update now, you have all this functionality available in your custom GPT. Yeah? So I can say greet Klaus. Wants to talking to connector. Hello Klaus. And here you actually see the following was shared. Klaus it sent, and the answer was hello Klaus, which is just outputted. So there you have it. Yeah, these are the news. I've done a lot of work on SwiftMCP. It's now ready to be used in other apps and with anything you fancy. Yeah, you can have any function you want, expose it as MCP to clients. By the way, let me show you. Of course, the whole thing also works with other clients. I'm going to disable the authentication for the time being because unfortunately cursor doesn't speak, doesn't allow that yet. But here you can see, yeah, I'm still connected. These are all my functions, yeah, and I can say greet Oliver, yeah. And the advantage of cursor is that you can put it in YOLO mode, then it doesn't ask you for every function call. So here it's now calling the MCP tool greet, yeah, called it with Oliver, and the result was hello Oliver. Et voila. Now I've got lots of ideas what to do with this. That's why I built it. Because the one thing with cursor is a great thing you can do is you can have it iterate test cases. Yeah, you can say do a Swift test of a certain test, and then it fixes the errors, and then it tries again, fixes the errors, and goes on and goes forth. There's only this limit with 25 tool calls. Yeah, but usually that's enough. But you don't know when it's finished. So what I'm going to do is build myself a small app, maybe that runs in the status bar, that cursor can send me a local notification so that on my top of my Mac screen it would say I'm done with the fixing, or maybe I can get it to if it reaches if it has 24 tool calls on the 25th tool call, instead of it getting this message saying click here to continue, it could send me the push notification. Yeah, I'm now at my limit. And then I can go back in cursor and say, yeah, no, continue. Yeah, so that it doesn't sit idly around, but my junior developer cursor can continue working. And there are other ideas. Yeah, like for example, I've built SwiftMail. So with SwiftMail, I'm thinking maybe to make myself a MCP tool that can get my unread emails. Then I could say, yeah, summarize my unread emails for me. Yeah, delete all newsletters. Yeah, uh, archive all emails that I've responded to. Stuff like that. Um, if you are interested in these kinds of things and would like to collaborate, let me know in the comments um, or on the website. I'd be happy to, if we start another project that has some benefit for all of us, I would be really amazed and happy about this. The other thing that's new today is for the first time I'm triple casting. Yeah, this is live uh, with 46 viewers on X. Yeah, and no viewers on Twitch. I've started today, and let's see if we can see uh, live streaming YouTube. Yeah, no viewers on YouTube. So at the moment, X seems to be the premier platform for everybody to watch this stuff. Well, I also posted this on X. Yeah, so maybe that's why. Uh, that's it for today. I hope you like it. If there's any interest in me showing around the back end workings, because it's actually quite amazing, so that we can just you can just decorate your functions like I showed you, yeah, with the uh, MCP tool and MCP server, yeah. What it does behind the scenes, it creates macros. Uh, it writes a lot of backend code to allow the calling of these functions with a JSON dictionary and lots of wrapping. But I think that's for another time when I'm going to reveal this. So if that's of interest, how does this work behind the scenes? Yeah, drop me a comment, drop me a like, and otherwise, yeah, see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you.